Hi, I'm Dan Kline, Editorial Director for It'sRelevant.com, and I'm sitting with someone many of you know by voice, not necessarily by sight, unless you've seen her on Fox 61, Lisa Wexler, host of The Lisa Wexler Show. Lisa, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Oh, so let's talk a little bit. You were on, incredibly locally, you were on NLK
And
STC.
STC for a long time, for 5 years. It's where I learned how to do radio.
And so now you're on WFAS. Tell us about, did you see, because we woke up one morning and saw a press release saying the local stations were gone effective now.
Right. We were given about 5 days actual notice, but if we had wanted to really pay attention, the building had emptied out several months before because there had been a consolidation of sales. Originally, there were 4 stations in our area, but in our office space. STC and NLK were 2 of them, but they were simulcast as one. And one of them, which was the Cool, remember 96.7, I guess it became the Coast, that had sold. And then there was a decision of Fox to move out the other FM, the Fox. So it was just the 2 little AMs hanging out there. We knew it was inevitable. We didn't expect to be sold.
Did you get a chance to say goodbye on the air?
We did.
You did.
In fact, not only a chance to say goodbye, which was so beautiful, but my producer, Jamie Kelsey, made it a surprise show for me. And as I'm doing my show, she kept interjecting with beautiful audio clips from my son and my daughter and my husband and people like Linda McMahon and Tom Dutchick of CTCapitalReport.com, who was a frequent guest, and all these people I had interviewed. And they were beautiful tributes. And I kept it up on my website, LisaWexler.com, because anytime I want to feel good about myself, Dan, I can just listen to the show.
Now, I get your newsletter, so I've been aware of the show. I'm relatively new, even though I to Stanford. I've only been here for the 6 months.
Welcome.
And you have a connection with your audience. You know,
do.
it's not, so when the show went off, did you know you'd find a new home?
Yes, I had about 4 offers right away. But nonetheless, none of them covered the Fairfield County area that really was my home base, because those 2 stations were the only stations that really covered Stamford to Norwalk, you know, the real sort of Gold Coast of Fairfield County. Those are now NPR. That's gone to local radio. So there was not a substitute alternative that would cover the same area. But at WFAS, I feel like I've expanded because it's Westchester, it's Rockland, it's Jersey, it's the North Shore of Long Island, and it is significantly into Fairfield County. Past Stamford for sure, and in the spring it will be even further up because AM tends to be, my show is on from 4 to 6 p.m. in the afternoons, and AM tends to go a little darker with darkness. So when the spring comes, I'm hoping that I'll be heard further north. Right now, I can hear WFAS in front of my home in Westport on the way to Wilton, but in the morning. I don't know if I can be heard in the afternoon.
Now let's talk a little bit. We'll talk later about you're doing sort of a different show.
I am.
How much of your show is geared local? You know, we sat in on the show and you talked a little local politics. You mentioned Linda McMahon, who,
I do.
By the way, we see at every event.
Don't you agree she's quite accessible?
She sat in front of me at the Interfaith 9/11 service alone.
Yeah.
And when she got up, the whole time I realized, boy, I should have asked Linda to join us.
Sure, because she doesn't require an entourage. She's very accessible.
She
is.
Look, I think she's going to win. I mean, we're
Do
watching.
you?
I think Bysowitz is going to be a strong candidate against her.
Really?
She's got a following.
You think so?
I think she does. You know,
well, you know, you're from a different part of the state, so I respect that. I just remember how badly she stumbled last time around for governor. I wasn't impressed.
If she's quiet, the thing is, she was elected to statewide office repeatedly, an office where you can't screw up. There's nothing to do with Secretary of the State.
But she did screw up. She didn't end up paying her dues to be an attorney.
That which cost her the
nomination because the Supreme Court of Connecticut found that she did not come within the statutory guidelines of being a practicing attorney for the prior 10 years, which is something incidentally I am and do pay my dues.
Now, if you had to make a pick now, who's going to come out of both parties and who's going to win?
I think it will not be Bysowitz. I think Chris Murphy is going to be stronger than Bysowitz for the Democratic side. And I think that against Linda McMahon, I think she has a very sure shot at this. And I'll tell you why. Last time around, nobody knew her. They only knew her money, and they knew those commercials in which she sat in the wrestling ring. And they showed her being pummeled, which was unfortunate video footage that I'm sure she regrets.
I grew up a wrestling fan. Sadly, there's a lot of unfortunate footage of her out there.
There you go. Exactly.
That could certainly be taken into interesting context.
That's right. And I think she has made an effort to go across the state. I've seen her, in fact, I've moderated many events in which she's been on panels. And I've seen her appear at smaller events and larger ones. I think she's doing the homework of a real politician, and she seems to be very well liked wherever she goes.
Do you think she's crossed the gap with women? I mean, that was her problem
That's her
last time.
goal. Little by little, I think she's crossing it. It's too soon to tell. It's too soon. It's a full year away. It's too soon to tell. I will tell you, it's no secret of the fact that I am lobbying Linda to change her mind with respect to some of her natural gas policies. I would like her to come out very strongly against fracking. And I'm trying to educate her on the subject as I'm trying to educate my whole audience.
They have to change the name of that.
Well, they won't.
Because as a sci-fi nerd, when you say fracking,
what are you thinking of?
Battlestar Galactica comes into my head.
Tell me why.
Because that was their slang term for exactly what you think it would be
really?
their slang term for.
Is that right?
So every geeky guy
That's funny.
In my age bracket is going, they can't possibly call it that.
That's funny. It is funny.
But
well, it's hydrofracking. But you know
that sounds even worse.
There you go. Or better.
Well, it depends who you're with. So,
exactly. It always depends on who you're with.
You mentioned Jim Himes in your show, too.
Yes.
Let's talk the
congressional race. Oh, that's totally up for grabs right now. I don't even know who's going to be the Republican nominee.
Chris Meeks.
Okay, Chris Meeks.
We're sitting down with Chris Meeks next week, actually.
You think you are. Let's see if he keeps the appointment. He's canceled and postponed on my show 3 times. So I wouldn't know. I had another guy on, I think his name was Orner, last name Orner, maybe first name Brian. He's running out of Darien. It's too soon. I don't know. He'll have to come back again in the spring.
And it depends how they draw the map, which is also...
That's true, the controversy about Bridgeport. And that will definitely make a huge impact on whether a Republican can get in. You know, Dan DiBasella, who ran last time around, he won most of the townships within the district by a significant amount. But he lost because of Stamford, Norwalk, and Bridgeport. And the huge turnout because Michelle Obama and Barack Obama came to our state to campaign for Blumenthal. Well, this time around, they're going to be there to campaign for Obama, so the Democrats will be coming out again. I think the question of redistricting will definitely turn it. Yeah.
Now let's get back to your show. You know, we talked a little bit. You did more of a lifestyle show, on the old show.
Well, I did lifestyle and politics for sure.
And now you're the personality more. Is that fair to say?
I think that is. I think I've sort of turned a corner in my career as a talk radio host, and I have a deeper, more fundamental understanding of the job I'm supposed to do behind the mic.
Now, what's the goal? You know,
you're
here at WFAS.
Yes.
I don't think we've said that. We're in,
I love this station.
We're in Hartsdale, New York.
Yes,
I love
are.
too. I used to live here.
Did you?
So I did.
I lived in Irvington.
Okay, so we've actually our cameraman Ed is in Elmsford, so we've got
there you
a
go.
whole,
That's right next door to Irvington, practically north of Tarrytown.
a whole local thing.
Yes.
You know, is the goal to be national? Is the goal?
It sure is. Why not? Sure. Well, the goal is to do the best radio show that I can do every day, and I say that with all sincerity, no BS. That's really the goal. And the goal is to influence and persuade people by informing them of what's really happening in their country and in their towns and in their state. Because I take this very seriously, and I really do believe that people want information, and they want reliable information, and they want information delivered to them by people with some integrity. And I'm trying to be that person.
Do you think talk radio is still viable to younger people?
I do, and I think it becomes more viable.
I
do. I have a lot of young listeners.
You think they're more used to the argument or the sort of everyone can comment free-for-all?
I think that they, too, are hungering for opinion and information. In other words, we are all getting, and they more than anyone know, that they are bombarded all the time with little bits of information. But it's context that's important. And if they can find someone they identify with on the radio who somehow puts that information in context, that's someone they're going to want to listen to every day. And I do have a lot of young listeners.
Now let's close out here because we've gone on, unfortunately,
Sure.
longer than we should have.
Sure.
you're an author.
I am. I wrote this book, Secrets of a Jewish Mother, with my mother and my sister.
Now, I was going to say, I have a Jewish mother. I'm not sure
Do you?
she has any secrets.
Well, that's the point.
that-
That's actually in the introduction, Dan. You're 100% right. We just spill them all.
I was going to say, if my mother had a secret, she'd call me 4 times in a day and tell me what it was.
She would. That's part of the love. That's right.
Well, tell us what the book's about a little bit.
So the book is, it's got chapters like career and marriage and dating. And the book is advice. And the book is stories that take lessons and get you thinking about yourself, and then you can ask yourself, and then you have advice. So for example, on marriage, we'll make a statement that says, marriage is hard work. And then I'll talk about the fact that, in a first person, that when I walked down the aisle, and my father kissed me at the end of the aisle to hand me off to my husband when I was 21 years old, he said to me, remember, it's work, which completely flattened me, I want you to know, on my wedding day. But it stuck with me my whole life.
How much
I'm
work
going
should
to
it
be
be,
married,
though?
God willing, 30 years in January. How much work should
I've
it
been
be?
married for 11 years, and it's a
So
little bit of work. We have a child now; it's a little
has to
harder.
be work.
But it's not that much work. Like,
Well-
some of it's fun.
Yeah, but you know, Dan, every time you think it's not work, it's going to bite you in the ass.
And
You can't take it for granted. It's always work. It's not always unpleasant, but it's always conscious work. That's what I mean by that.
I would agree with that. Now, Lisa is on WFAS, which is at 12:30.
12:30 a.m. 12:30.
And the book is available, and we'll just close out with one more little comment. The book is available on Amazon.com, but more importantly, in local bookstores.
It certainly is, in paperback, pretty much almost everywhere. And if you don't find a copy, you can certainly request one. They'll get you one within a day.
So we were talking a little bit earlier on your show,
Yes.
and I called into your show
You
about
did.
local versus Amazon, and I think one of the important things is, we have a Barnes & Noble in Stamford, and it's a very well-run Barnes & Noble. They do great community outreach.
We did a beautiful appearance there.
A lot of kids programs, a lot of authors, and not all Barnes & Nobles are run that way, but
This one is.
it is. And if they don't have the book in stock at that minute, they'll get it for you very quickly.
Very helpful.
They've done. I have a book as well. They've done great by my book. So I think it's very important, Stamford, to go into that store
I
because.
agree.
Okay, it's not Joe's local bookshop, and it's sad we don't have a local.
But we don't have Joe's anymore.
We don't.
So we have to support what we have.
And that's a great store. It's a well-run store. So you can buy Lisa's book at Barnes & Noble in Stamford. You can buy it on Amazon. And you can listen to her radio show every day from 4 to 6 on WFAS. And you can visit her at lisawexler.com. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you so much.